Hi, welcome back. I am back to discuss more of mental health and how I grew up and how it affected me witnessing and dealing with it. I don't normally talk about myself, so this is kind of different. It's out of my comfort zone, but sometimes you gotta get out of your comfort zone to speak out. And then I want to discuss the school to prison pipeline also because it's and how it connects with what I've witnessed growing up from neighbors, from friends, from other households, family, and how it's really set up to like really fuck us over as colored people, people of color. So yeah, let's get into it. So I grew up around a lot of in a predominantly black neighborhood. Like it was, it was a hood. It was a hood, and I grew up a lot around a lot of family and friends, mainly family. I have all brothers, so I'm the baby girl from my mother and my father, and then I have a little step brother. So I have five brothers altogether, and um, so yeah, I grew up. My mother and my father went together, and but I had my stepfather. I did have my father as well, but my stepfather and my mother. I grew up in the same household as my stepfather and my mother, and um, everything is all good. Um, I would say I was spoiled. I was very spoiled because I was the only girl for my mother and my father, so that was good. And my stepfather didn't have any children until my stepbrother, and that was like when I got a little older. But anyway, um, I'm a tomboy. I played a lot, but in the neighborhoods that I've witnessed with my friends and even family members, for instance, I had friends that both their parents were on drugs and their fathers weren't in their lives. The mother was, but she was apparently on drugs, so she was in and out. And it's just like growing up in the school system with me and my friend who had parents that were on drugs. We went to school together, and first of all, coming from a predominantly black school and going into a predominantly white school was like a culture shock. It was like a culture shock. It was it was it was like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what they're talking about because they had more programs in the predominantly white schools and they taught very well. Like they taught, I still remember ineffable, the word ineffable from that school. I don't remember shit from the predominantly black school because they didn't teach well. And I remember that growing up from pre-K all the way up until high school. I remember, being at the predominantly black school and like they didn't teach well. I learned more from being in one semester of the predominantly white school than I did the rest of my entire school life in the predominantly black school. And to say that it's very sad. I know that teachers are underpaid, but at the same time, it's like, oh, okay, that can't be it. That can't be why you can't teach the way you want to teach, or teach the way you're supposed to teach, the way that I'm seeing from the predominantly white school. And the programs that they had in the predominantly white school, they had pottery, they had, I say pottery, and I know a lot of y'all are going to crack on there like, who does pottery? But pottery can teach a lot of developmental skills such as patience, focus for those who have ADHD, and more like paying attention to detail, learning how to sit down for long periods of time and stay focused. So those are good aspects. Those are good things to have, good programs to have in all schools for anyone. But since we don't live in that perfect world, the black people get what the black people get, and the white people get what the white people get. And it's mainly due to I don't know, but I'm guessing it's you know parents and outsiders and foundations are willing to invest in their schools. Um, then there's the misuse of money in certain schools by certain principals or by certain boards, and some of the money that's being donated to the predominantly black schools don't really get into the schools, if you know what I mean, and that's sad too. But anyway, growing up, I just witnessed a lot of people dropping out, people, and I'm so glad I didn't pour into that because my friends were doing it or because that was like the popular thing, or I never gave up on myself, and I'm glad I did not. So that alone pours into so many things, and because I'm studying clinical mental health counseling, let me tell you something about tests. Tests are like assessments. They are here to test your ability or your ability to do things and to comprehend or whatnot, whatever. And with an assessment, after your scores, is there to place you where it needs to place you based on how well or how poorly you score. So those are assessments. I think it's a setup and it's a fuckery, even in the mental health field. I know, let me explain. A lot of people for years have been misdiagnosed with things. And that's why I say it's sometimes it's a fuckery, sometimes it's not. But in the school system, sometimes most likely it's a fuckery for people of color. But I found this article from 2021 that talks about the school to prison pipeline, and I just want to read a little bit about that. It says it has zero tolerance policy stemmed from the war on drugs and strict crime laws that greatly increased mass incarceration in the United States during the 1980s and the 1990s. The expansion of such policies to address crime among juveniles and school environments led to what education and social justice advocates now call the school to prison pipeline. So the zero tolerance policy in public schools originated from the 1994 Gun-Free Schools Act, and it punished it. Under this act, the punishment for bringing a firearm to school is suspension for at least one academic year. And then I want to read the part where it says, okay, so the school to prison pipeline refers to practices and policies that disproportionately place students of color into the criminal justice system. The biased application of harsh disciplinary measures and overuse of referrals to law enforcement contribute to the problems, setting up vulnerable students for failure and ignoring the underlying causes. So it's just like it seems like it doesn't seem like it's basically a setup, and this is what most of us are seeing now. And as a intern therapist, most of my clients now are young clients, adolescents, teens, and preteens, and most of them are people of color, Latino, Hispanic, and it's sad because most of them are dealing with what we're all dealing with, adjustment issues, where they're being bullied and they can't comprehend the learning material, and they're failing. Their grades are low, and it's sad. It's really sad, and they want to drop out. And these are the things that we push on them. But I say that to say, I ask my clients about their school programs, what they have. They don't have a lot of school programs other than physical activity programs, such as running track or playing basketball. And it's like, oh, you don't have any social justice programs. You don't have any, because most of my clients, they're interested in other things outside of the physical work, you know. They're interested in advocating for women. They're interested in science. They're interested in other things, but they don't have those programs. But if I go to a predominantly white school, they would have those programs. And it's just like, where are you seeing the setup? Are you seeing the setup? And why do I have to move outside of my place, outside of my community to get education? And this has happened to me even in college. So I went to a HBCU before I went to Liberty University. And at the HBCU, it was the same thing as high school. The teachers did not want to, barely taught. And I remember the specific day in pre-calculus when I went in, and I always used to study the material beforehand because I knew he would just run through it and not actually explain it or have a specific lesson or whatever. He would just run through it and say what was in the book, and that was it. Never taught. None of that. Never really answered questions. So I remember this specific day when one of my peers raised her hand and she asked a question about it. She was like, "Well, how do you get that from that?" He was like, "Well, you're gonna have to go home and figure it out." And she was like, everybody in the room looked at each other like, "What are we paying our money for? I'm not paying thousands of dollars, over $6,000 a semester, for you to tell me to go home and study the material on my own because you don't want to teach me, which is your job, which is what I'm paying for." And this has been throughout my life with predominantly black schools, you know. And from there on, I did not go back for another semester. I was like, I'm done. And it was not just that, it was everything that was going on at that time at Hampton University. The buildings were ruined. They had mold everywhere. It was a mess, and they were getting funds. It's just that we didn't know where the funds were going. And the misuse of, like I said earlier, the misuse of money is what's costing the money not to go back into the schools. There are people who are donating to some of the black schools, but there are some schools that have people mishandling the money, and somehow it's not getting into the schools with the programs and everything and the materials, and it's really sad. It's like our people are against our people as well. So everyone is against, it seems like everyone is against us. And that's what I've been going through all my life. Okay, so I lived in Chesapeake, Virginia, Portsmouth, Virginia, 757 area. And when I started to work, down in that area, it was white people, in charge of managers, stuff like that. I've always had to deal with microaggressions, macroaggressions, bullying as an adult, we would call it. So, like my clients now who say they got bullied when they were younger, which is why they have major depression, low self-esteem, feel worthlessness, and all that other stuff about themselves. And I'm like, okay, that's crazy. So imagine an adult going through bullying from the co-worker, from their workers, their employers throughout my entire adulthood because of my hair and my skin and my boobs and my vagina. And I'm like, how is this not majorly affecting me to the point? And I had to look back, and I'm just like, wait, it does affect me a lot. But I use these natural coping skills of ignoring the bullshit. But ignoring the bullshit is only avoiding it. And I'm learning that now. So dealing with that, I'm going to go back to school to prison pipeline. But anyway, so there's a lot of misuse with the money in the schools. And children in the predominantly black schools, the color communities, the low-income communities, blacks, are constantly dealing with going to school and feeling like idiots. So they have to become the class clown. They have to become the skippers, the disruptors, and pretty much the bad kids. Because their school is not providing a safe space for them to actually learn and to be included in that learning experience, and to have those hands-on materials so that they can learn. So I do see the bullshit. It's like it's set up, everything is set up. The whole system is set up to get us. Anyway, so me growing up, looking back, I did suffer from a lot of depression. And it was mainly because I felt stupid. I felt like I said, when I went from the predominantly black school to the white school, I felt really stupid. I was like, I'm too stupid. I begged my mom to go back to the black schools. I begged her. And she did what I claimed, I just want to be around my cousins, but really I felt really stupid in that school. Like I couldn't comprehend anything. And I regret it now. Because if I would have stayed there longer, I would have developed better functioning, better comprehension, better detail oriented, better focus, concentration on things. But I ran because I felt uncomfortable. I felt like that was in my place. This is only for white people. And I'm imagining how other children might feel, other adolescents might feel about that. I'm like, are they thinking the same thing? So what I try to do is I try to encourage my clients, like, you can be anything you want, blah, 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 but all that encouragement doesn't mean shit if it's not being reciprocated from other parts of the community. That includes the household. Your household is everything. They have, like, when I grew up, my mother and my father dropped out of high school. So I had no one to help me with homework. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had no one to help me with school projects. I brought in school projects that got me clowned in school. Like, clowned in school, even by my teachers. My teachers used to clown me. That's another thing that broke my spirit, or kind of broke my spirit, and made me have low self-esteem. Even until today, when I fail something, or when I look at others, sometimes I down myself, but for the most part, I pick myself back up, because I'm like, I see in class, I see, like for our 10th class, we have, I'm sorry, my brain is freezing right now. I haven't eaten breakfast. It's early in the morning, but we're here. So in my intense class now, in my master's program, we have to show videos of us doing counseling sessions. And I see the white people and I'm like, okay, they know that shit, they doing that shit, why can't, like, and then I have to tell myself, you are good enough. You are good enough. They're counseling their people, and they're good enough for their people. You see what I'm saying? I am good enough for my people, because when I counsel my people, they look at me like, oh, she's really good. She's really good. You don't have to be good enough for everybody. You just have to be good enough for the people you want to be good enough for, and yourself. I'm good enough for myself because I'm good enough for my people. You see what I'm saying? Even sometimes I doubt myself, but I have to reconstruct those things. I have to restructure my mindset, my negative thoughts, to saying I'm better than that. Like, I know I'm good. I'm greatness because I say I'm greatness, not because I have to prove to someone that I'm great. I'm great because I say I'm great, because I never give up on myself, because I love myself. And sometimes you have to be there for yourself, show up for yourself. And like I was telling one of my clients, who's dealing with major depression, and she's a adolescent, and she's just like, I was bullied before, called fat and all this other stuff. So now I feel like I can't say anything good about myself. And I'm like, who was the bully? Who named the bully? She couldn't name the bully, so I named the bully for her. I was like, okay, let's name this bully Nicole. Kind of doing the just all empty chair technique. And I said, confront your bully. Tell your bully. What would you say to your bully if your bully was sitting right next to you? If Nicole was sitting right next to you, she said, I wouldn't say anything. I said, okay, it sounds like Nicole has your power. She took your power away from you. And that's what the system does. The system takes our power away from us. And we're constantly in depression. We're constantly anxious. We constantly have low self-esteem, social phobia, all this other stuff, because our power is constantly being sucked out of us. When we turn on the news, when we go outside, the power is being taken from us because that's the way the system is set up. The school to prison pipeline. The school is the prison. It's getting you ready for prison. That's what the assessments are for. Who's going to make it out of this prison and who's not. So the people who drop out of this prison is going to go to the bigger prison. The people who don't drop out of this prison are going to go into corporation prisons. See what I'm saying? Everywhere is a fucking prison for us. Because everyone wants to take our power. And it's like, how do we gain our power back? How do we gain that power back? How I gain my power back from all the microaggressions, from all the discrimination, from my hair, the way I talk, babble over my words. It's like, how do I gain my power? How did I gain my power back? I ignore all that bullshit. I set goals for myself. I love myself. And I put, even with the job that I just quit, because I felt like it was taking too much of my energy. My head felt like it was physically about to explode. I was burning out. I burned out. And I chose me. I would choose me each and every time over slavery. I would not give people my power, or too much of my power, because sometimes we do give our power, but too much of my power, just for them to put me down and look at me as if I'm less than what they should be. I'm less than what my value is. And to continue to get paid less, but they want me to do more. It doesn't make sense to me, And we all feel, it's like, I can't speak for all of us, but I understand my client. I understand myself. Feeling powerless is not good. Feeling powerless, it brings up so many other issues. Anxiety, depression, not having a purpose. And I'm going to tell you a story about myself. I believe I was like 22, maybe 21. And I was through this party. I'm a kinkster, yes. So I threw this kink play party at my friend's, who I thought was my friend. We had been hanging out, doing music together. We never had sex with one another. He was a male, yes. I don't have sex with everyone I'm friends with. But he did have feelings for me. Never had feelings for him. So, anyway, I threw a party at his apartment. Told him not to invite the two friends that said they didn't like me, because who wants people at their party that don't like them? I wanted it to be smooth and mature and fun. Halfway through the party, the two girls showed up. He invited the two girls there. And I'm in the back, and I'm trying to engage them in, trying to be friendly. I invited them in to come discuss everything. So all of us started to talk, people at the party. And then one of my guy friends who I invited to the party asked me, like, how do you know the guy. And I was like, oh, we did music together. He's like a brother to me. And the girls were like, oh, you can't be a part of the family. And I was like, well, put it like this. We're friends. We never have sex. We're never going to have sex. I don't like him like that. I guess it made him feel some type of way because the room, you feel the energy in the room when the room goes sour. And that's the energy I felt. Now, beforehand, when I drove, I had my car, but I also had another guy to drive my car because I knew I was going to be drinking and smoking a little weed, but I knew I was going to be not able to drive, so I had him drive my car. I told him, hey, let's go. I told my other friend, hey, meet me at our spot because I don't like the vibe in here anymore. I'm just going to go. So I was walking down to my car, was looking, thought I forgot my phone in the place where the party was going on. Told the driver, hey, can you see if you can go back and get my phone because I don't want to go in there. As soon as he was going up, the girls and the guy whose house I was having the party at came down. I was like, oh my God. And he was like, why you leaving? Why you leaving? I was like, I don't want to be around these sucker bitches. And then that's when shit started popping off. They was like, what? I was like, I was drunk and high. I weighed 90 pounds. Let's put that out there. And from there, things just went downhill. I got jumped by the girls. I got, my driver left me and sided with them. I tried to pull out my gun to protect myself, but they took it from me. They jumped me again. They were recording it. And then they went back inside. My eye was bleeding. The guy, my driver, went with them. And what else? They all went back inside. I guess they called the police. I was looking for my driver because I couldn't drive. It took me like 20 minutes out there yelling and trying to find somebody to help. And eventually I ended up getting in my car, tried to drive off, didn't get out of the parking lot, got stopped by a whole lot of cops with their guns drawn. Yes, the lights, everything. If you've ever been stopped like that, you know what I mean. Got arrested, hit to the ground, shirt ripped, everything happened. Went to jail for the weekend, got out, had to go to court. They lied in court, distorted the truth, and I told the complete truth. But yeah, didn't get any jail time, but that alone traumatized me. It turned me into a optimistic person to a pessimistic person. And I was so outgoing and optimistic. And after that event, it traumatized me so much that I resorted into a ball. I called my family during that incident to try to come. My family did come out, but they didn't help. They just stood around while I got arrested. No family members called me after that to check in on me. No family members helped me get out of jail. No family members showed up at my court stuff. No family members did anything. They didn't do anything. I was always there for my family. When they needed me to sing on a song, I sung for them, no charge. Needed me to be there, I was there for them. Needed me to take out loans for them, I took out a loan for them. No one was there. And anyway, what I was saying, sorry, it's still loud out here, but I felt like no one was there, but my mom. And it's okay. It's okay. Not everyone is expected to be somewhere, but that alone, that experience alone for me was very jarring. It was very traumatizing. And what I did afterwards, I isolated myself. I did. I felt so depressed. I was really in a really depressive state. I I don't do well with sitting in my depression, sitting in my feelings. I have to get out and do something. So I started to create these goals for myself. I was like, I gotta go back to school to finish my business degree, did that, go back to school to study psychology. I started going to the library. Before I went to do my psychology degree, I was going to the library constantly for hours and hours to study the supernatural, the unconscious, everything. Because when all of that was happening that night, with getting jumped and everything, in my mind, I was telling myself to do something different, to leave, to not pull out the gun, to do. But my body responded different, responded total opposite of what I was saying in my mind. And I wanted to learn, like, what was that about? Like, what is that? I'm a very attuned person. I feel things deeply. My senses are very I don't know the word for it, but my senses are very open. I can feel shit spiritually. And that night it was just like I kept recapping it in my mind, kept recapping everything in my mind. Like, what was that? Like, what was going on? Like, why did I respond that way? So I'm not gonna lie, I started to read about the supernatural, psychology books a lot. I started to started to read about shamans, started to read about all of that stuff. I started to go to like the, what do you call it, the witch stores, got some charcoal, got some candles, started doing the whole calling on spirit shit. And then I started to experience very vivid and lucid dreaming. I started to experience paralysis. I started to experience, in my paralyzed state, like I could not move anything but my eyeballs. But I remember this article or this book I read saying that if you are not sure if you're in the waking life or the dream life, look around. It might look like the same room in waking life, but it's always going to be something different. So when I started to have these lucid dreams and paralysis at the same time, I started to look around in my room to see if anything was different. That's how I knew it was my waking life from my dream life. Excuse me. And I would get stuck, couldn't move. I know it was a couple of times where I heard a voice saying that you need to stop, or I won't let you eat, and I won't let you sleep. I laughed at it. I wasn't scared of these things, guys. Like, from childhood, I always look at scary movies and stuff like that. So I'm not traumatized by that. I'm not scared of any of that stuff. Even though when I told my mom about it, she was scared. But anyway, I started to see like this dark, shadowy figure with a square head, gloomy in the face. One time it was at my bedside, and I was turned on my side. It was kind of scary, but I wasn't like scared shitless. And then I was at a friend's house, and the shadowy figure was at the end of the bed. So I believe I've seen them in the lucid dreaming stage, the paralysis stage. Never in waking life. I have never hallucinated or had delusions or anything. But during that time, I would say I was in a very low place, and I stopped that, and that's why I went back to school for psychology. Ended up graduating from Liberty. And then I'm also at Liberty for my master's program, so I'm finishing that up. Hopefully I finish this internship with all my credit hours this summer, and then I'll be finished. And then pass my exams. I took the CPCE exam and I failed it by 1 point, so I have to take it over next semester, and that's okay. I was a little down on myself with that too. Anyway, I went through a hard time, and it was very traumatizing. And sometimes when you're going through a hard time and I feel like, let me put it like this. When I was going through that hard time and I started to do all those witchcraft shit, I felt like the paralysis and the shadowy figures were pulling up for me because of where my mind was at the time. It's such a negative place. I was depressed, and you conjure up evil attractions because that's what it feeds off of. Misery loves misery. Misery feeds off of misery. So would I do those things again? Yes, hell yes, I would do. Yes, I feel like it's a part of me. Yes, I would. Sorry for anyone who doesn't agree with that. But when I'm in a good headspace, I'm a good person. I'm not gonna do no crazy voodoo crap on anyone, but just for my own general purpose. I would love to learn how to tap into my mind to engage with ancestors and good spirits. But that's the reason I would do it. And if you are religious, if you are Christian, your Bible talks about spirits all the time. You talk about the Holy Ghost spirit. You talk about other spirits, So, but anyway, so I'm finishing up my master's, but that's how I gain my power back. But I feel like with this last year, especially with my last job as a case manager working in a mental health and substance use organization, it was very hard for me to do the full-time case management job, plus going into internship 2 days a week for 8 hours each day, and then that was my whole week pretty much. And then doing schoolwork full time, I felt like I was burning out. Well, I didn't feel like I burnt out. I'm still in the process of burning out or healing for burnout. I'm exhausted, to say the least. I'm exhausted from trying to meet deadlines. I'm exhausted from demands of other people, demands of the company, policies, this and that, how I can and cannot do my practice, how I can and cannot help people. It's exhausting trying to meet the expectations of other people, and this is throughout our lifespan. We have to meet the expectations of school, people in our household, family members, parents, jobs, careers, school, everything. It's like, when do I live for myself? When do I gain my full power back to live for myself? And it's when you stop chasing money. When you stop trying to live up to other people's expectations. And I know that's easy to say and harder to live or harder to do by, but when you're going to start doing for yourself and get your power back? I don't know. Like, there's other ways. There's so many ways to make money out here. That's so easy. Content creator, delivery, Grubhub, Uber Eats, whatever, on your own time, doing your own thing. There's so many things you can do. So many videos you can make. One video that will go viral and get you to where you need to get. So many things out here. You can be a masseuse. You can do it on your own time. You can even get a degree and do counseling on your own time, or whatever degree you're in, do it on your own time. There's so many platforms out here that will allow that, we need to find those resources, utilize those resources. The resources are right here. They've always been here for everybody. We're just not exposed to it and how we can use it and what we can do with it. Throughout our childhood in certain low-income Black family communities, people of color communities. And I say all that because mental health goes a long way. But everything stirs from childhood. Everything stirs from childhood. Because what affects you in the household, what affects you when you're starting up school, it's going to affect you in the long run. And I've been seeing that a lot lately, especially with my jobs, from past discrimination from employers and people at the job. Even though I block it out and I move forward, when it happens, each and every time it happens, I kind of get on myself about it, because I'm like, why do I continue to let this happen? It's like being in an abusive relationship, going from one abusive relationship to the other. It's like, when am I going to stop letting these people abuse me and degrade me and treat me like I'm nothing? It's getting to a point where, am I treating myself like I'm nothing? Do I think of myself as that? And in school and at the jobs, they make you they make you seem like you have to be better, you have to dress better, you have to act better, you have to speak better, you have to look better, you have to do these better things in the neighborhood, in the community, with your family. They make it seem like you have to have a better car, you have to have a better house, you have to have a house, you have to have this, you have to have that. No, you don't have to have shit but you and your mind and your heart and your creativity, because you know how people are so creative. Just block out the negativity, because what you allow to put into your spirit is going to hinder you in the long run. People come in, and even if it's your family is like the family that puts one another down or try to compete with one another to get to the, block them out, because little do you know, every little thing is getting to your subconscious, every little thing. So sometimes you wake up feeling depressed, and you don't know why. Oh, it's because something happened yesterday, a microaggression or something little happened that you didn't pay attention to, but your subconscious paid attention to, and it got to you, but you don't know why you're crying, why you want to cry, or why you feel so depressed, or why you feel like you want to shoot somebody in the face. It's because you gotta watch what is around you. You have to watch what's around you. You have to watch what you're putting into your body, into your mind. It's just like you're feeding your body with food, you have to make sure you're feeding your mind with the right stuff. And the mind is so tricky. Like I said, anything can get to your subconscious. When you turn on the TV and watch a movie that's about slavery, that could get to your subconscious. Change your mood, make you anxious, make you feel depressed, make you feel low, make you feel worthless, make you feel like you don't have a purpose, certain things. And those are the demonic possessions to me. Another form of demonic possessions. Just that negativity alone, those microaggressions, or any aggression, that's possession. Because it can cause you to be a person that you're not, to feel things that you don't want to feel. So, how can we get our power back, people? You tell me, how can we get our power back as a nation, as a community? Because we need our power back. I'm exhausted, and I know most of you are exhausted. I'm so exhausted. Thanks for listening. Bye.